Welcome to my channel Starwire Daily. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Picture this. It's a quiet Tuesday evening in Pacific Palisades. Ben Affleck sits alone in his study, scrolling through his phone when suddenly his world comes crashing down. The woman he thought he'd spend forever with, again, has just made a decision that changes everything. Jennifer Garner, his ex-wife, the mother of his children, the person he believed would always be his anchor, is planning to marry someone else. Welcome back to Starwire Daily, where we dive deep into the stories that keep Hollywood buzzing. I'm your host, and today we're unraveling one of the most emotionally charged celebrity stories of the year. What you're about to hear isn't just another breakup tale. It's a story of lost love, shattered dreams, and the painful reality that sometimes second chances don't come twice. 4 months now, whispers have been circulating through the exclusive circles of Beverly Hills and Brentwood. Sources close to the Affleck family have been painting a picture that's both heartbreaking and all too human. Ben Affleck, the Oscar-winning director and Batman himself, has been harboring hope, deep, unwavering hope, that he and Jennifer Garner would eventually find their way back to each other. But here's where the story takes a devastating turn. While Ben was quietly rebuilding himself, believing in a future that existed only in his imagination, Jennifer was writing a completely different chapter of her life. Enter John Miller, a successful businessman who's managed to do something Ben thought impossible: completely capture Jennifer's heart. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? How did Ben Affleck, a man who once had everything, fame, fortune, a picture-perfect family, end up watching the love of his life plan a wedding with another man? The answer lies in a story that's been years in the making, filled with addiction, redemption, hope, and ultimately, heartbreak. Let's rewind to 2005. Ben and Jennifer's love story began like something out of a romantic comedy. He was the charming, quick-witted actor riding high on his early successes. She was America's sweetheart, fresh off her hit TV series, Alias, with that girl-next-door beauty that made everyone fall in love with her. Their wedding was intimate, beautiful, and seemed to promise a lifetime of happiness. For nearly a decade, they were Hollywood's golden couple. 3 beautiful children followed: Violet, Serafina, and Samuel. And from the outside, they seemed to have it all. But behind closed doors, Ben was fighting demons that would eventually tear their marriage apart. The gambling addiction, the drinking, the pressure of maintaining his career while battling personal struggles. It all became too much. The divorce announcement in 2015 shocked fans worldwide. But here's what made their story different from every other Hollywood split. They never really let go of each other. Even as they signed the papers, even as they moved into separate homes, there was always this underlying connection, this sense that their story wasn't really over. Jennifer became Ben's strongest supporter during his lowest moments. When he entered rehab, she was there. When he struggled with his sobriety, she stood by him, not as a wife, but as a friend, as a co-parent, as someone who genuinely cared about his well-being. And for Ben, this unwavering support became something more. It became hope. Sources tell us that Ben began to interpret Jennifer's loyalty as something deeper. Every family dinner, every school event where they appeared together, every moment of kindness during his darkest hours, he saw these as signs. Signs that maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to each other. Friends close to Ben describe a man who never really moved on, who saw his other relationships as temporary distractions while he worked on becoming the man Jennifer deserved. But while Ben was focused on redemption and reconciliation, Jennifer was quietly building a new life. John Miller entered the picture in 2018, but their relationship developed slowly, carefully. Jennifer, having been burned by the intense scrutiny of her marriage to Ben, chose discretion this time. She kept John away from the cameras, away from the red carpets, away from the Hollywood machine that had consumed so much of her previous relationship. And honestly, who could blame her? John Miller represented everything her life with Ben wasn't: stability, privacy, normalcy. He's a successful CEO who understands the value of keeping personal matters personal. He doesn't court the paparazzi or generate headlines. He's just steady, reliable, present. For Jennifer, this was revolutionary. After years of living under a microscope, of having every argument dissected by tabloids, of watching her husband's struggles play out in public, John offered her something she'd almost forgotten existed: peace. But Ben saw things differently. Those close to him say he viewed John as a placeholder, a nice guy who was keeping Jennifer company while Ben got his act together. There's this almost delusional confidence that once he proved he was sober, once he showed he could be the father and partner he should have been all along, Jennifer would come back. The reality check came gradually, then all at once. First, it was the way Jennifer looked at John during their rare public appearances, a softness in her eyes that Ben recognized because she used to look at him that way. Then it was the increasing seriousness of their relationship. John spending holidays with the kids. John being introduced to Jennifer's close friends and family members. John becoming integrated. And then came the news that shattered everything Ben had been hoping for. Wedding plans. Not someday, not eventually, but real, concrete wedding plans. Jennifer Garner, the woman Ben thought he'd eventually remarry, was planning to walk down the aisle with another man. The sources paint a picture of a man devastated. Ben, who had structured his entire recovery around the belief that sobriety would lead him back to Jennifer, suddenly faced the reality that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. All those family dinners he'd cherished, all those moments of co-parenting harmony he'd seen as romantic possibility, Jennifer had seen them as exactly what they were, two adults putting their children first. But here's where the story gets even more complex, because this isn't just about Ben's broken heart. This is about a woman who deserves to be happy, who deserves love that doesn't come with conditions or prerequisites. Jennifer gave Ben years of her life, years of supporting his recovery, years of maintaining a family structure for their children despite her own pain. She earned the right to move forward. And John Miller? He's not the villain in this story. He's simply a man who fell in love with an incredible woman and showed her what stable, mature love looks like. He didn't have to compete with addiction or career pressures or public scrutiny. He just had to show up consistently and love Jennifer for who she is today, not who she used to be or who she might become. The wedding plans, from what we're hearing, are everything Jennifer's first wedding wasn't. Intimate, private, focused on the couple rather than the spectacle. It's being planned with military-like precision to avoid media attention, which tells you everything you need to know about how much Jennifer values this relationship and this man. For Ben, watching these preparations unfold has been like experiencing grief in real time. Friends describe him as going through the classic stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression. The denial phase lasted the longest, with Ben reportedly telling friends that Jennifer was just confused, that she'd realized John wasn't right for her, that their family belonged together. The anger phase was brief but intense. There were reportedly heated conversations where Ben expressed frustration that Jennifer was giving up on their family and replacing him with someone who didn't know her like he did. But Jennifer, showing the strength and clarity that has defined her through all of this, stood firm. She made it clear that she wasn't replacing Ben as a father, but she was absolutely replacing him as a romantic partner. The bargaining phase was perhaps the most heartbreaking. Sources tell us Ben offered everything: couples therapy, a renewed courtship, promises of continued sobriety, even a prenup that would protect Jennifer completely. He pointed to their history, their children, their shared experiences as proof that they belonged together. But Jennifer had already made her choice, and it wasn't him. Now, as reality settles in, Ben is reportedly in the depression phase of his grief. Not the kind that threatens his sobriety. His support system is too strong for that. But the deep, aching sadness that comes with accepting that some chapters of life are truly over. But here's what makes this story more than just a tale of heartbreak. It's also a story of growth, of acceptance, and of different kinds of love. Despite his own pain, Ben has reportedly committed to supporting Jennifer's happiness. He understands, intellectually if not emotionally, that Jennifer deserves to be with someone who makes her feel secure and cherished without having to wonder if they'll be the same person tomorrow. The children, Violet, Serafina, and Samuel, are reportedly handling the news well. John has been in their lives for years now, and they've grown to care for him. Jennifer has been careful to make sure they understand that John isn't trying to replace their father, but rather that their mom deserves to be happy, just like their dad deserves to be happy. And isn't that what love really is, ultimately? Wanting someone's happiness even when it doesn't include you? Ben is learning this lesson in the most painful way possible, but he's learning it. The man who once struggled with addiction and control issues is now facing the ultimate test of letting go. The wedding is reportedly planned for later this year, and while the exact date and location remain closely guarded secrets, sources suggest it will be a small, elegant affair focused on the couple's commitment to each other and their blended family. Jennifer's children will play important roles in the ceremony, symbolizing the family they've all chosen to create together. For Ben, the wedding day will likely be one of the hardest of his life. Knowing that the woman he still loves is promising forever to someone else, knowing that any lingering hopes he harbored are being officially laid to rest, knowing that their story, at least as he dreamed it might continue, is truly over. But here's what's beautiful about where Ben is now in his journey. He's stable enough to handle this heartbreak without it destroying him. His sobriety is solid, his relationship with his children is strong, and his career is thriving. The Ben of 5 years ago might have spiraled. This Ben, the one who's done the work and built a support system, will grieve and then move forward. And who knows? Maybe this forced closure is exactly what Ben needs to truly open his heart to someone new. Maybe spending all these years hoping for a reconciliation with Jennifer prevented him from being fully available to other relationships. Maybe this heartbreak, painful as it is actually clearing the path for Ben to find love that's meant for who he is now, not who he was 15 years ago. Jennifer's upcoming wedding isn't just her beginning with John. It might be the catalyst Ben needs for his own fresh start. Sometimes the most painful endings create space for the most beautiful beginnings. The real tragedy here isn't that Ben and Jennifer didn't get back together. It's that Ben spent so many years focused on rewriting their past instead of writing his future. But even that tragedy contains a lesson, and Ben Affleck has always been good at learning from his mistakes, even when it takes him a while. As for Jennifer and John, their love story is a testament to the power of timing and compatibility. They found each other when Jennifer was ready to be found, when she'd healed enough to open her heart again, when she knew what she needed from a partner and wasn't willing to settle for less. Their relationship has been built on a foundation of mutual respect, shared values, and the kind of quiet devotion that doesn't need headlines to validate it. In the coming weeks and months, as Jennifer's wedding approaches, we'll likely see how this story continues to unfold. Will Ben find a way to genuinely celebrate Jennifer's happiness? Will he finally open himself to the possibility of love with someone new? Will the family dynamic continue to be as healthy and supportive as it has been despite this major change? What we know for certain is that this story is far from over. It's just changing shape, evolving from a story about lost love and hope for reconciliation into a story about acceptance, growth, and the many different ways love can manifest in our lives. And that brings us to you, our amazing Star Wire Daily family. Stories like this remind us that even celebrities, people who seem to have everything, face the same heartbreaks and challenges we all do. Love is complicated whether you're Ben Affleck or the person next door. Divorce is painful whether you're in the spotlight or living quietly in suburbia. Moving on is hard whether you have millions of dollars or you're barely making ends meet. But these stories also show us that it's possible to survive heartbreak, to grow from our mistakes, and to find happiness in unexpected places. Ben will be okay. Jennifer will be happy. The children will continue to be loved by both their parents and their soon-to-be stepfather. And maybe, just maybe, this ending will turn out to be a beginning in disguise. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you feel sorry for Ben? Or do you think it's time he moved on? Are you happy for Jennifer and John? Or do you think she should have given Ben another chance? And most importantly, what do you think Ben's next chapter will look like? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And please, keep the conversation respectful. These are real people dealing with real emotions. And while we're discussing their public lives, let's remember the human beings behind the headlines. If you enjoyed diving deep into this story with me, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people who love celebrity news as much as we do. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest celebrity scoops, relationship updates, and behind-the-scenes Hollywood stories. We've got some incredible content coming up this week, including exclusive details about another shocking celebrity split and some surprising reconciliation news that's going to blow your mind. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, keep following your favorite stars, keep believing in love, even when it's complicated, and remember that everyone's story is still being written, including yours. I'm your host, and this has been Starwire Daily. We'll see you in the next one, where the drama never stops and the stories keep getting better.